what's in my food shop this week. So I just thought I would run you through some of the key items. There is actually quite a lot, but some of the key items that I've bought in this week's weekly shop that's going to help me stay within my calories, hit my macros, and I'll also tell you what I'm going to do with the items too. So to start with, I'm going to go straight in with the frozen items so that I can then pause and get those in the freezer. First of all, we always have frozen raspberries in the freezer. A, because they are super high in fibre. B, they last so much longer than buying fresh. And C, when used, they do tend to be juicier than using the fresh ones. They are a great fruit, not only because of the fibre content, but also because you can have so many for so few calories. So they're also great for volume. If you have a sweet tooth and you really like your ice cream, or maybe it's not even that you're necessarily an ice cream lover, but you love to have something sweet in the evening, then these halo top ice creams, hold it the right way around, these halo top ice creams are a great option. This whole tub of sea salt caramel is just 320 calories. So it's much lower in calories than buying one of your other sort of big brands like a Ben & Jerry's or a Haagen-Dazs, for example. There's so many different varieties. You can pick these up in Tesco. This one is a honeycomb crunch, 370 for the whole tub. So of course you're not going to eat the whole tub, but if you eat a third of it, that is really low calories for a great evening treat. And you can get sort of unbranded versions of these in other supermarkets too. And then the last frozen item that I wanted to show you was simply these frozen jacket potatoes. I actually only really discovered these recently, but they are so great to have in your freezer, because if you have nothing else in and you really need to grab a quick meal, this is a really great option because they're all sort of quite uniform in size, so you can really get a handle on how many calories you're going to be using. And one of these, I think, is, yeah, so one oven baked potato is 155 calories. So that gives you loads of scope to add a protein source to that. The potato is going to give you some fibre, and then you can add some carbs and protein too in the form of something like a tin of tuna, which you might easily just as well have in your cupboard. You might also pair it with beans, which will be another top up of your fibre and give you a little bit of protein too. So a great way to make a store cupboard meal, but something that's really going to help you to hit your targets. So I'm just now going to pop those quickly in the freezer. Right, I'm back. So fresh fruit and veg. I've got a cucumber, some peppers, a couple of courgettes. I've also got some mixed cherry tomatoes, red onion. All of these items are going to be packed full of micronutrients, really great for adding volume to your meals and really low in calories. So really wonderful, so versatile. You can chuck them in pasta dishes, stir fries, salads, you name it, and it really will help to keep you more satisfied when you're trying to cut your calories. These veg bags are also so brilliant. I love to use these. You pop them in the microwave, and if we're having, for example, this week we'll have a curry for one of our evening meals with the kids. It doesn't tend to be hugely high in fibre, and I'm also being careful with the amount of rice that I have. So adding some veg from these really quick and easy microwavable bags is going to give me a top up of my fibre and add more volume to my meal without blowing loads more calories. So they're really handy to have. Got some kiwis here, amazing for fibre, great little snack to have. Make sure you keep the skin on. And then berries are always going to be lower in calories. The kids love them, and they're just obviously a great low calorie snack. Raspberries are always going to be the best in terms of fibre, but you know, strawberries, blueberries, all low in calorie and great as a snack. So that's the fruit and veg. Moving on, I've just got some chopped tomatoes, again great for creating sauces. Baked beans, I really think are a great staple. Everyone has them in their cupboard, and they are really great for fibre. And if you pair them with like some wholemeal bread, for example, so a classic beans on toast is going to give you a complete protein source too. I've also got here, I've picked up some flaked almonds and some chocolate chunks. Almonds are really great fibre source, but of course they do also contain quite a bit of fat, so you can easily get through calories quite quickly. Having some flaked almonds and just using them on top of oats, for example, is a great way to add a bit of different flavour. And I'm going to try and make some baked oats this week and have an experiment using some of these. Then when it comes to, actually, let me just show you this one. I've also got some chickpeas here. I'm going to use that to create a pasta dish this week. When you are trying to plan out your meals or build meals, of course, it's really, really important to make sure that you've got a balanced plate, which should have a protein source, a carbohydrate source, a fat source, and it should contain fibre. So beans, chickpeas, these are so versatile, easy to keep in the cupboard and easy to add to things like salads, pasta dishes, rice dishes, you name it, wraps and so on. So I'm going to use those in a pasta dish this week. Just got a couple of different types of pasta. As always, when you are tracking pasta, make sure that you are correctly logging, because the calorie content from the cooked weight versus the dry weight of pasta does vary very, very differently. So you need to make sure that you are correctly logging your pasta. But great source of carbs. Carbs aren't the enemy. Make sure you've got carbs in your diet. Flatbreads, also so versatile. You can use them with cooked chicken, roll them up, have them like a wrap. We use them for like a salmon tikka style recipe, where we'll use some yogurt, cucumber and some like curried salmon on top, so a bit like a mini naan bread. I also use them as a pizza base, and it's a lower calorie version compared with buying another sort of shop bought bigger pizza base, or like using naan breads, for example. So these I find are really good and versatile. And wraps, obviously just great and super easy way to get a carb source into a quick, speedy lunch. When it comes to protein, so a few bits to talk through here. Today I'm going to make a roast dinner, and I always buy an extra large chicken because the leftover chicken can then easily be used as, again, a pre-made ready protein source that you can grab, chuck it in a sandwich, chuck it with some pasta, you name it, you can do so much with it. So I'm actually going to use that. I'm going to make a pasta dish this week, which I'm going to trial and hopefully be able to share the recipe for. And I'm going to use the leftover chicken along with some of this veg for volume, some pasta, and I'm going to use some 50% reduced fat garlic and herb soft cheese to create a really nice sauce for it too. I'll let you know how that goes. But then, yeah, in terms of meat, so one thing that Tesco have started doing, and again, you'll find them, I'm sure, in most supermarkets, but some really small grab pots of pre-made chicken, loads of different flavours. I've just got flame grilled here, but there's sort of satay chicken, mango habanero, all sorts of different flavours. Perfect to pick up to have available if you need an extra boost of protein. You could use it as a snack. You can easily chuck it in a wrap. You can add it to some pasta. Again, because it's pre-made, it's so easy and makes it so much easier for you to get to your protein target. Meatballs, we will have some meatballs and pasta this week. These are not a reduced fat variety. I always give these ones to the kids, but I do have some 50% reduced fat meatballs in the freezer that I will use. It basically means then that I can have sort of more volume for the same amount of calories, whereas if I was using some of these, I'd probably be only able to have sort of 4 or 5. I haven't checked the exact amount, but it wouldn't feel like it was very satisfying. So the reduced fat ones are good to use. Always got loads of chicken. We'll use this, you know, in all of your standard family meals, fajitas, curry. Ben usually pre-cooks some chicken on a Sunday or first thing on a Monday morning to use in wraps for the week. So chicken is, of course, going to always be one of the leanest ways to get some protein in your diet. Then we've got some other protein sources. So I've got some eggs, always good. We've got a couple of other varieties of cheese. So we've just got some standard cheddar. But whenever I'm melting cheese, I do try and use the protein cheese. Because of course it's going to be another great boost of protein, but also it is lower in calorie than using normal cheddar, but it's only really any good if you are melting it. So pizzas, wraps, sort of like quesadilla style, that sort of thing will be great for protein cheese. Got some hummus here, another sort of fibre source. The kids enjoy that as a snack with some cucumber sticks. And then we've got our Greek yogurt. Always have this available because we typically, both Ben and I will always use Greek yogurt in our breakfast. I'll normally have my overnight oats. Ben will use this in like a smoothie. I've got a 0% fat option, which is great if you're on a fat loss journey. Ben is having currently the normal one because he needs more calories than me, so there's little point in him having the 0% fat one. It's easier for him to hit his targets by having the normal version. Then, almost at the end, oat milk. Great for additional fibre as an alternative to dairy, and I always use it in overnight oats because I do find it gives a much creamier texture. Also got some almond milk here. This tends to be really low in calorie, so a great option if you do need to save some calories. And I'm going to try this in creating some baked oats this week. And finally, always have the rolled oats available for overnight oats. And as I say, I'm going to give baked oats a go this week. So I'll let you know how I get on with that. But I hope that's been helpful. And any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram. You will find me at finallysally, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.